Scorpio, I need to tell you something that will affect you. Right now, while you're listening to me, people are talking about you. And no, it's not paranoia. It's not something you made up. It's real. Conversations are happening. Names are being mentioned. Opinions are being formed. And you have no idea yet. But by the end of this video, you'll know exactly who's talking, what they're saying, and most importantly, why this matters so much right now. You felt that sensation of being watched when no one's around, that sudden shiver, that intuition that something is moving in the shadows outside your field of vision, and you tried to ignore it because Scorpios don't like to admit they're not in control of everything. But your intuition is never wrong, never, and it's screaming now because things are happening. People are reacting to you, people are processing you, and this is creating waves you haven't felt yet, but that are coming your way. Let me be direct with you. What I'm about to reveal isn't comfortable. It's not that nice message you hear and forget. It's the kind of truth that will keep you up at night, that will make you revisit old conversations, that will make you understand things that didn't make sense until now. Because Scorpio, you've messed with people. And when I say messed with, I'm not talking about any superficial interaction. You went deep. You touched places that no one else can reach. And now these people are dealing with it, each in their own way. And some of these ways will completely surprise you. So take a deep breath now, because before I tell you who's talking about you and what they're saying, you need to understand something fundamental. You are not who you think you are to these people. The image you have of yourself, the way you believe others see you, it's wrong, completely wrong, because you see yourself through your intentions. But people see you through your effects, and the effect you have is much deeper, much more intense, much more permanent than you ever imagined. There's someone you hurt unintentionally. You don't even remember. It was a casual remark, a comment that meant nothing to you, but to that person, they still think about it, it still hurts, and they're talking about you, trying to understand why you said that, trying to figure out if it was intentional or if you simply didn't realize the impact. And you know what's worse? You have no idea who it is. It could be someone close to you. It could be someone you barely know. But that person carries you inside them every day, like a wound that won't heal, like a question without an answer. But it doesn't stop there. There's someone you saved, and that word isn't an exaggeration. You literally saved that person. It might have been with a conversation, with your presence, with a look that said, "I see you," when no one else was looking. And that person doesn't forget. They speak of you with gratitude, with admiration, sometimes with an intensity that's almost frightening, because you were the light in their darkest moment. And they'll never be able to thank you the way they'd like. Because how do you thank someone for making you want to live again? And there's more. There's someone who desires you. And I'm not talking about superficial desire. I'm talking about that deep, almost disturbing longing that the person tries to hide, but that leaks out in every look, in every poorly chosen word. This person thinks about you when they should be thinking about other things. They daydream about you. They create imaginary scenarios where the two of you are together, and they struggle internally because they know they shouldn't, that it's complicated, that maybe you'll never reciprocate, but they can't stop. You've gotten into their head, and you won't leave. Do you really want to know who these people are? Or would you rather continue believing that you pass through other people's lives without leaving a mark? Because the truth is this: you don't go unnoticed, Scorpio. You never have. You never will. You are too magnetic, too intense, too real to be forgotten. And that comes at a price. The price is that you don't control what is imprinted on people. You don't control the stories they tell about you. You don't control whether you become a hero or a villain in someone else's narrative. Now let me tell you something that will send shivers down your spine. There are conversations happening about you where your name isn't even directly mentioned. That person who, you know who. Remember when? You've become a reference point. You've become an example. You've become the standard that other people use to measure current situations. This reminds me of what happened to Scorpio. And you're not there to defend your version. You're not there to explain your side. Your story is being told without you, and that takes you out of control. And you hate not being in control. But here's the part no one prepared you to hear. Some of these conversations are changing lives. People are using you as a lesson, as inspiration, as a warning. People are making important decisions based on their experience with you. If Scorpio could do it, so can I. I'm not going to make the same mistake I made with Scorpio. I want to find someone who makes me feel like Scorpio made me feel. You are a role model, and you don't even know it. You are impacting destinies without being aware of it. And then there's the other side. There are those who are using you as an excuse, blaming you for things that aren't entirely your responsibility, turning you into the villain of the story, because it's easier than taking responsibility for your own part. And these people are talking too. They're building a version of you that doesn't correspond to reality. An exaggerated, distorted version, where you're more cruel, more calculating, colder than you really are. And this version is circulating. It's reaching the ears of people who have never met you, and they're forming opinions about you based on lies. So tell me, does this make you angry? Does it make you defensive? Do you want to run off to explain yourself, to correct the false narratives, to show who you really are? Because if you feel that impulse, stop. Breathe, because that's exactly the trap. You can't control what people say about you. You can't be in every conversation. You can't shape how others perceive you. And the more you try, the more you lose yourself. The more you become a hostage to other people's opinions. The more you forget who you really are. But there is something you can do, and that's what I came to talk to you about. You can decide who you want to be from now on, regardless of what they're saying, regardless of the narratives they've built. Because the truth is that these conversations about you say more about the person speaking than about you. Each person interprets you through their own filter, their own wounds, their own needs. You are a mirror. And what each person sees in you is what each person carries within themselves. So when someone sees you as cruel, it's because they have unresolved cruelty within themselves. When someone sees you as a savior, it's because they were desperate for salvation. When someone sees you as a threat, it's because they are afraid of their own power. Do you understand? It's not about you. It never was. You only served as a trigger, a catalyst, a screen where people project their own demons and angels. And now comes the part that will change everything for you. There's someone specific who needs to tell you something. Someone who's been rehearsing this conversation for weeks, maybe months. Waking up in the middle of the night thinking, I need to talk to Scorpio. Picking up the phone 1,000 times and not having the courage to press the button. Writing and deleting messages, creating and discarding opportunities to meet you. And this person is suffering because of it. Because what they need to tell you is important. It's urgent. It's something that will change the dynamic between you forever. It could be an apology that's been stuck inside for years. It could be a statement that was never made. It could be a truth that was hidden. It could be a hurt that needs to be exposed in order to heal. It could even be a revelation about something you didn't know happened. And this person is torn. Half of them wants to contact you immediately. The other half is afraid of your reaction, afraid that you won't call, or worse, afraid that you'll call too much and that will change everything. Do you sense who it is? Did you close your eyes and a face appear? Did a name echo? Because your intuition already knows. It always has. You just didn't want to admit it because Scorpio is afraid of two things: being vulnerable and being wrong. And confronting this person means risking both. But answer me this. How long will you avoid important conversations for fear of discomfort? How long will you leave things unsaid because it's easier than taking a risk? And there's another truth here that you need to swallow. You also talk about people. You also create narratives. You also interpret other people's actions through your own distorted lenses. So before judging those who are talking about you, look in the mirror. How many times have you told your version of a story and conveniently omitted your part in the mess? How many times have you turned someone into a villain because it was more comfortable than admitting that you were also wrong? This isn't meant to blame you. It's meant to set you free, because when you understand that everyone does this, that everyone distorts things, that everyone creates convenient versions of reality, you stop taking what people say about you so seriously. You stop caring so much about reputation and start caring more about the truth. And the truth, Scorpio, is that you are human, imperfect, intense, sometimes too much, sometimes not enough, and that's okay. Now let's talk about what you do with this information, because knowing that people are talking about you is one thing, deciding what to do with it is another. And here are your options. You can freak out. You can start investigating, asking questions, confronting people trying to find out who said what. You can go into defense mode and try to control the narrative. You can preemptively cut people off because you don't know who to trust anymore. Or you can do the opposite. You can let go. You can accept that your reputation was never entirely in your hands. You can understand that some people will love you, others will hate you, and most will be confused about you. And none of that changes who you truly are. You can focus on being authentic instead of being well received. You can choose peace instead of control. And this choice, this surrender, is the hardest one you can make, because control is your comfort zone, but control is also your prison. And something is happening right now that will force you to make this choice. In the next few days, you're going to find something out. It might be through a casual conversation. It might be through an unexpected message. It might be through someone who will finally have the courage to tell you the truth. But you will find out. And when you find out, you'll have two options: react or respond. Reaction comes from a wounded ego. Response comes from wisdom. Reaction creates drama. Response creates clarity. And Scorpio, you've had enough drama in your life. It's time to choose differently. Let me give you a concrete example of what I'm talking about. There's someone who admired you, who put you on a pedestal, who saw you as perfect. And recently, this person saw a side of you that shattered the illusion. They saw you being human, making mistakes, being contradictory, and now they're processing that. They're talking about you with disappointment in their voice. Not because you've changed, but because the fantasy they created about you doesn't hold up in reality. And you're not to blame for that. You never asked to be idealized. You never promised to be perfect. But now you have to deal with their disappointment. And at the same time, there's another person who always saw you through your flaws, who only focused on what you did wrong, who criticized you, judged you, belittled you. And this person is also talking about you. But lately, something has changed. She saw you growing, she saw you transforming, and that bothers her. Because if you can change, it means she can too. And she doesn't want that responsibility. So she talks about you trying to minimize your achievements, trying to find flaws in your progress, not because you don't deserve recognition, but because your success exposes her stagnation. Do you see the pattern? People talk about you because of themselves, always. And understanding that changes everything, because you stop personalizing. You stop assuming there's something fundamentally wrong with you. You stop trying to be different to please everyone, and you start existing in your truth, knowing that some will understand, others will distort, and that doesn't change your worth. But there's a specific conversation going on right now that you need to know about. It's a conversation between people who know you from different contexts, and they're comparing notes. They're discovering that you're different versions of yourself depending on where you are. That the Scorpio at work isn't the same as the one in your social circle. That the Scorpio in your family isn't the same as the one in your intimate relationships. And they're trying to figure out which is real, which is the mask, and which is the truth. And here's what you need to understand. Everyone is real. Every version is you, because you adapt, you mirror. You give people what they can receive. With those who can handle intensity, you are intense. With those who need lightness, you are light. With those who deserve depth, you dive. With those who only want the surface, you float. It's not falsehood. It's emotional intelligence. It's survival. It's protection. Because you learned early on that showing everything about yourself to everyone is dangerous. But this fragmentation comes at a cost. The cost is that sometimes you don't even know which version of yourself is the real one anymore. You've performed so much, adapted so much, that you've lost touch with who you are when no one is watching. And that's why other people's conversations bother you so much, because you're afraid they'll see something you don't see yourself, that they'll discover that you're also unsure of who you really are beneath all the layers. So let me ask you a direct question. Who are you when you're alone? Who are you in the moments that no one will ever know? Who are you in the choices that no one will witness? That's the version that matters. That's the truth. The rest is context. The rest is adaptation. The rest is survival. But that essence, that core that only you know, that's the real you. And if you're not in touch with that, it doesn't matter how many people speak well or ill of you. You'll remain lost. And now comes the final revelation, the one you've been waiting for since you started reading. Someone is going to contact you in the next few days, and this person will say something that will make everything make sense. They will connect dots you didn't know were related. They will explain behaviors that confused you. They will bring to light secrets that have been kept for too long. And when that conversation happens, you will understand why everything had to be exactly as it was. But for this conversation to happen, you need to be open. You need to be willing to hear things you might not want to hear. You need to be ready to face uncomfortable truths, because this person isn't going to contact you to be kind. They're going to contact you to be real, and real hurts sometimes. Real exposes, real deconstructs illusions, but real also liberates. Real also heals. Real also transforms. And there's one last thing I need to tell you before you go. While you were worried about what people are saying about you, you forgot to ask, what are you saying about yourself? Because the most important conversation isn't the one that happens outside. It's the one that happens inside your head. It's that voice that criticizes you, that diminishes you, that reminds you of every mistake, every failure, every time you weren't enough. That voice talks about you 24 hours a day, and it's cruel. More cruel than anyone could be.